Giants are world champions. Got him looking, and the Giants have won it all. The 2-2. Popped out. Sandoval in foul territory. Giants win. A World Series win for the San Francisco Giants for the third time in the last 5 years. And their hero, Madison Bumgarner. High and deep to left. And here. Tatis to third. There is Chapman again. Eating over. It's a triple. And it throws into the
And it's a beautiful day, another great day to start the first ever Kronk Productions franchise mode commentary. And as you saw by the introduction, we are starting off this very first episode, this series with the San Francisco Giants. We are going to try to return them to their glory days, their championship ways. Buster Posey, now the head of operations, brought in Nicky Kronk to help make the team better. He needs some advice and some support in how to build this team up and get it back to its championship winning ways when he was behind the dish in the Bay Area. So really excited to bring you guys this series. Should be a fun one. This first episode, we're just going to go through some of the rosters, some of the changes, get everything set up to start this season. We are treating this first season almost like 2024. We are handcuffing ourselves basically to make no changes, just kind of sim through this first year and get it set up for the offseason that's currently happening right now, as the rosters are pretty much set to reflect what kind of happened this past year in the MLB. And there are some changes that will take place because, of course, it's a video game. Different things happen. Different injuries happen. We can't make Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna be on IR all year for the Braves. So imagine they'll be a much better team in this simulation than they were in real life. Good news is they were still a playoff team, so we can expect that here, but you never know. So this is all for fun, of course, and we'll get it started here by looking at what the San Francisco Giants have to offer in their roster. So let's take a look at their starting pitching and what we have to work with. Of course, we have Logan Webb, our ace, 26 years old, a potential future workhorse. I believe he signed pretty long term here. Yeah, we have him locked up for 5 years at just under 16 mil. Really good contract, California guy. We'd love to hold on to him for pretty much his whole career. I think that would be pretty awesome to have him stay in the black and orange in the Bay Area. Blake Snell, of course, in real life, he's going to be hitting free agency after this year, but we have him on that 2-year contract. We can always make that change at the end of this year as well to have him hit free agency again, see what we're going to do. Jordan Hicks, the reliever turned starter. We'll see what our plans for him is. Of course, he's just going to stay a starter this year, as that was his role in the 2024 season. Robbie Ray, of course, was on IR, so he's here. Kyle Harrison, supposed to be a really good prospect coming up, 21 years old. We'll see what we can make of him. And then we just go down the list here. A couple good prospects here in Hayden Birdsong and Carson Wissenhunt. I'm sorry, I can't say that. Couple more C prospects. Not really much outside of those two. Of course, Bryce Eldridge, one of their earlier picks in the past draft. Couple of other, good young players in the B, C potential, but nothing really standing out. So we got a couple starting pitching prospects there that we can work around. The bullpen, of course, we know is an issue. We have the Rogers brothers, and aside from that, Maztek is a decent lefty, at least in this video game, and pretty much drops off after that. In terms of any stars down here, not really much. The one guy, Reggie Crawford, but nothing really comes up of him, and we'll see what some of these guys can turn into. I do remember he's a two-way guy, so it'd be kind of cool if we could grow him and potentially use him in that way. It's always fun when you get those players on your team. And then Camilo Duvall, lights out closer, pretty nasty, 25 years old, a potential. He's got 3 years of ARB after this one. Probably going to be very expensive. Don't know if we'll hold on to him. He's a trade target right now, actually, in real life, in the 2024 off-season, 2025 off-season, whatever you want to call it. So we'll see. Patrick Bailey, stud defensive catcher. We hope we can unlock some more offense out of him, as he's one of the best in the game defensively, but we need to make up for it in the bat. Of course, we have Tom Murphy, Blake Sable, kind of to complement that. And aside from that, that's it. We don't really have much of a catching prospect. It's really Patrick Bailey, who is 23. So we have a lot of years left with him, 2 renewable, and then 3 into the ARB. So he is controllable for quite some time. We should be able to tap into some training there to get him to grow offensively. Wilmer Flores, more of a DH at this point in his career, but strong offensive stats. We can definitely make use of that. I believe he's here for 2 more years and then a free agent, so we'll see what we can tap into there. Wade Jr., and that's kind of it. Nothing really much in terms of first base, as that's kind of a rotating position. You can usually find sluggers to play there. Theo Estrada, definitely a good prospect, hopefully not so much a prospect anymore, but a good player that we can hopefully build around with this core that we have here. We have him for 2 more years of R, very versatile, and his defensive ability, good speed there as well. We have a couple of other potential second base prospects. Walker Martin kind of being the big one, but at 59, at 19, going to be a while till he would be MLB ready. So definitely looking weak there in the second, first base, and catching prospect department. Matt Chapman, who just signed his extension, is kind of one of the guys I'm talking about. Where it's difficult with the show. You can't really add contract extensions like you can in other video games like NHL. So we have to just give him his long-term deal right now to kind of make up for that. But a really good player, someone the Giants believe in real life, someone we'll hope to believe in here as well. And you kind of see a theme, I think, the way the Giants are building their team, the way Buster Posey is building the team. His defense is a priority with Chapman, with Estrada, with Patrick Bailey. You can see they're all grade A level defenders, which is important. I mean, we know that ballpark is not a hitter-friendly ballpark. Lots of speed needed in the outfield, and definitely infield helps with that as well. So we'll see if we can keep that a theme here. When we build up this franchise and this prospect pool to focus on good defensive players to tap into some of that offense. As we think back to the Giants teams that won in 2010, 12, and 14, a lot of it was built on that pitching and defense and timely hitting. So I think that's the recipe for success for us moving forward. Luciano, we know, of course, is the stud prospect shortstop there that we have, 21 years old. Going to take a little bit for him to grow into himself offensively, but certainly a capable player, I think, in this first year in 2024, and we'll see what he grows into throughout this season. We also have Arteaga in here, 61 overall, 20 years of age, B potential. We'll see what we can utilize him for as well. Maybe a trade package with Luciano already there, but you never know. It's nice to have multiple guys competing at the same spot. Michael Conforto, great player in his own right, has been around a while. And Mark Canha, kind of the veteran outfielders there. Looking down the list, not much in terms of left field prospects. Again, kind of seems like the Giants farm system is a little weak, at least in terms of the prospects we have uploaded into this game, into this roster. So we'll definitely be looking to upgrade the outfield. Jung-Hoo Lee, the big offseason acquisition from last year. He signed here long-term, 6 years until 2028. So kind of fitting that Logan Webb, Matt Chapman, contract window there. But definitely a really good player, good defensively. We can certainly look to grow his contact ability and maybe a future all-around leadoff or two-hole hitter for us in the future is what I'm envisioning. Yastrzemski as well. We love Yaz, kind of the heart and soul of this team over the past few years as they've been struggling. Heliot Ramos as well, another good young versatile player in the outfield. Had a pretty good year in real life. We'll see if we can replicate that and what he'll turn into for us. And then Luis Matos as well, another good young outfield prospect. So I guess they were all hiding here in the center field category. So we'll see what some of these guys grow into. Like I said, this first year is kind of out of our control in terms of the roster and the injuries and trades and things like that. We're just going to let this season play out. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about the computers trading players. So we'll see how this season goes with respect to all of that. And then just to round things out, right field, not really much going on here as well. We've got a couple of B potential guys, but in their early 20s, late 20s, sometimes it's harder to grow those guys at that stage. So maybe some trading capital to upgrade and get some younger prospects. But that's it for the Giants. That's the team. That's the roster. Just kind of go around the league here and kind of give a taste for some of the top players in the league. So we go around. Of course, San Diego, a powerhouse, and this is kind of the struggle that San Francisco is facing right now. Their division is brutal. I mean, they're going to be competing. We're going to be competing for third place at best, I would think, for the next 2-3 years, with San Diego and LA kind of locking up that 1-2 spot, and then the Diamondbacks, of course, kind of our fluky team in this simulation. They can be really good. They can be really bad. So we'll see how their GM handles their situation. But, of course, San Diego, one of the top teams in the league, along with LA. We know the success they had in real life, winning the World Series. We'll see if they get it done here. The Rockies, of course, in a rebuild mode, have some key players that they can move from and gain more capital. But we'll see how that plays out. The Diamondbacks, like I said, have a pretty good team, but sometimes they're streaky. So we'll see what kind of simulation we get with them. The St. Louis Cardinals, great historical franchise, definitely in the middle of a rebuild in real life there. We'll see what they do with pieces like Arenado and Gray and Contreras as they begin to age out of their contracts. The Pirates with Paul Skeens, already at 94 overall, 21 years old, just won the Rookie of the Year. We'll see if he can grab that here as well. The Brewers, William Contreras, Willy Adames, a big free agent here in real life. Again, one of those guys who's, actually only has the 1 year. Okay, no extension there. Never mind. Sal Frelick, good young player there as well. Keep on moving. The Reds, kind of an interesting team. Might be a team we utilize here in the future because they are in a weird spot where they have a good young talent. They just got to put it together in real life. The Cubs, no one really knows what to make of the Cubs as they continue to be really good on paper, just not putting it all together. So we'll see how that plays out. The Nationals, C.J. Abrams, their best player, and then really drops off from there. But they have a ton of good prospects. So they should be on the rise, and they always make big splashes in free agency, especially with the pitching, which is where they need help in. So we'll see how that plays out. The Phillies, of course, dominant. Zach Wheeler up to 99 overall, one of the best pitchers in the league. Definitely deserving of that rating, in my opinion, flanked by Harper and Turner, Nola, and the likes of which should be a pretty good team. The Mets, too, very capable team. We saw the surprise run they went on in the playoffs. A little bit of a boost to some of their players there in terms of overall and potential based on that performance. The Marlins, oh, the poor Marlins, all the prospect talent in the world sometimes, and they just can never really find it. But yeah, another team that's going to be up and coming along with us, I would think. We don't have the prospect capital that they do, so we'll see. But we got bigger pockets in free agency, so that's something we can definitely leverage. Like I said here with the Braves, Acuna and Strider are active in this universe. So we'll see how the Braves perform. Always a heavy hitter with all the talent that they have. Same thing here with the Rangers, a team that really struggled in real life in 2024 that I imagine is going to have opposite results here in this simulation. But who knows? Some of those injuries might come back with DeGrom and Evaldi and Scherzer, but we'll see how that plays out. The Marlins, aside from their starting pitching, just like real life, really looking for bats. We'll see if it goes their way in this simulation. They are stacked in starting pitching, just like they are in real life. So we'll see if one of those guys actually gets moved, as is rumored to be. The A's, I guess you can't really call them Oakland anymore since they're no longer there. They are in this universe. But yeah, some good players there. We'll see how long it takes them to become competitive again, as they really don't have a lot of prospects. They really don't have a lot of veterans to trade away to get more prospects. So long rebuild there for Oakland. LA Angels, some decent players. I've seen LA turn it around pretty quickly with some key signings during the off seasons. So we'll see if they can get Mike Trout a ring. Of course, that would be a win for baseball if he could ever do that. We got the Astros, very similar to the Braves, just absolutely stacked across the board. Always a really good competitive team. You got the Twins here, kind of a fluky team, similar to the Diamondbacks. On paper, look really good. Sometimes they just don't perform. So we'll see what is made of them. The Royals, Bobby Witt, an absolute stud, 99 overall, 22 years of age, is insane, but well-deserved. He's one of the faces of baseball now. See if he can carry this young Royals team with some of the aging vets like Salvi Perez and to another championship window there. Detroit Tigers, another really interesting team in how they manage. They got Tarek Skubal, who we know is one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Incredible year winning the Cy Young. And some key pieces here to build around, like Riley Green, like decent bullpen. They've got some good prospects there, as well as Max Clark. So we'll see what the Tigers run into. Cleveland, an insanely good pitching and relieving pool, as always. They just have a plethora of riches in that area. It's just about the bats, similar to Seattle in terms of it. Can they hit enough to be competitive? But they're a really good team. The White Sox, kind of similar to some of the other rebuilding teams, a couple really good studs and then absolutely nothing, like Crochet and Robert Jr. See if those guys get traded. Really hard to acquire guys like that, just like it is in real life. But if we're looking to make a splash, maybe not Robert, but Crochet, and what we could add to our rotation there is something we could look at. The Blue Jays, another team that is just stuck in a division that's stacked. They have a really good team on paper, but the likes of which the Yankees and the Orioles and even the Red Sox, the Rays here as well, just a really difficult division to find success in. So yeah, the Rays, competitive, usually flip a lot of guys just like they do in real life. So another good team to trade with. You've got the Yankees. We'll see if they can punch their ticket back to the World Series here in this simulation. Really good from top to bottom. The Red Sox really just building around Devers, have some decent pieces, some competitive MLB guys there. And then the Orioles as well. Really solid, got a lot of good young players to build around, controllable assets, and then some top-of-the-line guys as well there with big pockets to spend. So that kind of brings us full circle to what we have here in San Francisco and across the board. If we look at some of just the outstanding free agents here, again, we're not signing anybody, but this is just kind of where things sit. These are the last of the roster updates there. And then if we go over to our budget and we look at what we have in terms of contracts and things like that. So for the sake of realism, good job there, Kronk. With that, we are going to bring Blake Snell's contract down to 1 year. Actually, we can't. Never mind. So we have Blake Snell for 2 years, so we'll see how that works. Anyways, back to the budget. I was trying to make it a little bit more realistic, just realizing we could have lowered him to 1 year. But we'll continue on like we have him for 2. So, Matt Chapman locked up long-term, Young-Hoo Lee, Logan Webb, even Jordan Hicks there for 4 years. You got some guys that are going to be part of this roster. Robbie Ray is here as well for a couple of years. Blake Snell. I mean, these are your big-ticket guys that you're going to have that cash to free up to go get some more guys. So looking at 2025's free agent class and into 2026, I think is really when we'll become competitive. We're not going to be able to compete really in my eyes with the likes of the Dodgers, with the Padres, with the Diamondbacks even. It's going to be hard for us to punch a ticket into the playoffs here in these first 2 years. I think we just let the young players play, grow, be a competitive team. We want to stay around that 500 mark, and then we make some splashes in 2025, 2026 to really bring in some of those free agents there and grow this team, have it be a competitive team by then, and get some pieces to push us over the top. Some of our prospects probably would be even better by then as well. But just going down the line here, there's not really any horrible contracts that I would say that we have that we need to be worried about. A couple of guys that are really nice and controllable that we went through for some of our prospects. But yeah, nothing really outlandish here. I think we're walking into a situation where it's a big market. We're going to have money to spend. We have a couple contracts like Robbie Ray and Blake Snell, who are good players. Don't get me wrong, but that's $50-some million that we could spread across three other players, maybe even 4, to help round out this roster. And Conforto here as well, $18 million on his last year. Canna, $13 million his last year. Taylor Rogers, $11 million for a bullpen guy who's not that elite. We'll see what we turn this roster into. But yeah, that kind of brings us to the present day here. We have the sponsorships taken care of. We're going to have scouting pretty much on auto for this first year and just auto draft. I mean, it's basically a duplicate draft of what happened. A lot of the prospects are already in this game that came from this draft in real life. So I don't like to cheese the system in that way and manually go get guys. It's kind of whatever the computer assigns to us and we get lucky with is how it'll work out there. Like I said, we're going to not make any trades. If the computer makes trades, they make trades here this first year, but nothing really much we can do about that. So that kind of brings a close this first introductory episode. Episode 2 will be out right behind this one. So if this was boring and kind of, not what you expected, you wanted to see something happen, gear up for the next episode. We'll get right into the season, kind of the storylines there, and look to bring a World Series trophy back to the Bay Area. So signing off for now. We'll catch you in the next one.